Hello students, we are going to go over page 6, analyzing a graph, topic 2 of our first unit here. So you should see this page in front of you, and that's what we are going to go over. So the altitude of a tree affects the rate at which the tree grows. Okay, so what you are seeing here is a graph that represents just that, is that we took data on altitude of a tree in kilometers above sea level. So how far up is it? Is it in Denver? Is it in Illinois? Is going to make a difference. And then the tree growth rate in centimeters per year. And it came out to look like this with some representation. So we're going to answer some questions based on that. So it says, what does the point 3, 2.2 represent? So what we want to do is find the point 3, comma 2.2. So remember, 3 means 3 to the right. So we're going to go 3 to the right, and then 2.2 means 2.2 up. And we're going to find where those connect. So I'm going to go from 3.3 all the way up, and I'm going to find the point on the graph, which is right there. And it is at 2.2, which is good. So that is my point that I'm talking about here. And we're saying, what does it represent? Well, the 3 represents altitude in kilometers above sea level, and the 2.2 represents tree growth rate in centimeters per year. So we just need to put that into words here. So I said for a tree, 3 kilometers above sea level, it grows at a rate of 2.2 centimeters per year. Anytime that you are giving a representation or a interpretation of what something means, make sure you talk about both the X and the Y value together and how they kind of relate to each other here, because the 3 doesn't exist without the 2.2 as well. It's not at 3.1, it's at 3.2 specifically. Okay. Next question is, how fast does the tree grow at 9 kilometers above sea level? So we're looking for specifically one value here, and it's asking how fast does the tree grow. So we want to look at 9 kilometers above sea level. So our 9 kilometers above sea level is down here on the x-axis. So I'm going to find 9 kilometers above sea level. I am going to trace that up here on the graph until I find the line on the graph there. And I'm going to get to this point right here. And if I trace then over to the y-axis with my eyes, and I'm tracing with a pen so you can see it, I'm going to get right between the 2.6 and 2.4, which means that I'm going to be at 2.5 there. And so I'm going to answer that question not with just 2.5, but what does 2.5 mean? It means in centimeters per year. So that's the tree growth rate. It does say how fast does the tree grow, but we want to answer here then 2.5 centimeters per year. It's important to keep units on your answers as you go through these. Next question, what is the y-intercept and what does it represent in the context of the problem? So y-intercept, if we're looking at this graph here, is going to be on the y-axis where it intersects the y-axis. So we're going to have a y-intercept right here. The coordinates of that point are 0, 1.4. Now, I write the coordinates of that point down because the 0 is what a lot of people miss in this case. So we have a y-intercept at, you could answer this as 1.4, or you could answer this as 0, 1.4. Again, I'm going to answer it this way because when we say represent in the context of the problem, if all you do is say 1.4 centimeters per year, what does that mean? So what it means in context of this problem is it means at sea level. So you could say 0 kilometers above sea level, but at sea level, it's giving the tree growth rate. So at sea level, a tree grows 1.4 centimeters per year is what that's giving us. Okay. When does the tree grow at a rate of 1.7 centimeters per year? So we're going to go over here to the tree growth rate, which is on the y-axis, and we're going to find 1.7, which is going to be between my 1.6 and my 1.8, and we're going to trace that over. Now here's where it's going to be interesting, because when I trace that over, I'm going to run into the graph here, but I have to continue to think, because if I keep going, I am going to run into the graph over here as well. So I've got those two different points on the graph that come up, and I'm going to be able to answer two different answers. So if I find this and I trace it down, follow it down, I end up with one what? It's 1 kilometer above sea level. Okay, so it at 1 kilometer above sea level. And our other answer is going to be, if I trace this one down, at 13 kilometers above sea level. So I could say at 1 kilometer and 13 kilometers above sea level. What is the fastest growth rate of the tree? So trying to find the fastest growth rate. So you got to make sure that you pay attention to what it's asking. So it's asking for a tree growth rate here. And it wants to know, when is that the fastest? When is it, in this case, the biggest? So the biggest, could it be at 3? Well, they never grow at 3 centimeters per year. So we want to find what the tallest number is that it gets to. So we're going to trace in here somewhere, and I think that it's right there. And if I come over to find that value, it's at 2.6 centimeters per year. So the fastest growth rate of a tree is 2.6 centimeters per year. It does not ask what kilometer above sea level that is at. It just asks what's the fastest growth rate. Okay. So what I'm going to leave you with in this is that you are going to write a follow-up question about the scenario that another classmate could answer. So make sure that you are filling this in. Tomorrow we will likely go over that and look at that to make sure that you've done that. So finish this video, but make sure that you fill this in for yourself